Welcome to Kaleidoscope S4IG. Let's talk. There were a couple of unusual things that happened at the Gratiaen Prize this year, celebrating its 30th year this year. One was there were joint winners. While it has happened before, it nevertheless was unusual. Yudhanjaya Wijeratne won for his manuscript The Wretched and the Damned, and Srilanka for her collection of short stories, Keeping Time. And the other unusual thing was that speculative fiction has been added to the expansive genre of literature at the Gratiaen. The Gratiaen Trust was established by Michael Ondaatje in 1992 with the Booker Prize money he won for The English Patient. The first prize was awarded in 1993, also jointly, to Karl Mahler and Lalita Vitanakci. And this week, Yudhanjaya Wijeratne will join us on Let's Talk, and next week we will be chatting with Srilanka to find out what brings on these award-winning works. Yudhanjaya is an author, a data scientist, and misinformation researcher, and co-founder and CEO of Watchdog. He's in the Forbes 30 Under 30 and has had his writings published and which have appeared in Wired, Foreign Policy, and Slate, and he can now add the 2023 Gratiaen Prize to this list. Congratulations, Yudhanjaya, once again. Well done. And you just created history by adding another genre into the Gratiaen, speculative fiction, you call it. Give me a very quick idea of what the manuscript is about.
My book is about a group of superpowered revolutionaries taking down the Sri Lankan state, and the idea is Sri Lanka is incredibly corrupt, incredibly nepotistic, and they think they can do better, like all the other revolutionaries in this country that we've seen. And they naturally start by, well, I was thinking of how would I destroy the country if I went about it, and you would start by taking down the economy. So unfortunately, I wrote this in 2021, and it kind of turned out the exact same, well, mostly the same. So I'm now guilty of, instead of speculative fiction, I'm guilty of journalism.
What brought the subject on, actually?
The novel just came out because it was very much a lot of things that were on the top of my mind. Our history, the economy, where things were headed. And at the time I was working in public policy. And so a lot of my job was trying to interface with this kind of mismanagement and trying to figure out what the hell is happening. So a lot of that just came out.
Did you ever have an inkling that some or most of his story would come to pass?
No, and I really wish it didn't. I looked at the numbers and I thought, okay, this is the most likely way if we are going to tilt. It's first going to be the economy, it's going to be job loss, it's going to be money printing, it's going to be prices going through the roof, it's going to be riots on the streets. I was like, if I was doing this, this is how it would happen. But I didn't want it to come true.
What are some of the revelations you came across while writing?
The first is that I think I cared more about Sri Lanka than I wanted to admit. Because for a long time I've divided things that I write about in my head. I write about Sri Lanka as a journalist, as a data scientist, and that's the work of Watchdog, that's my work at Learn Asia. When I write fiction, I go, no, you know what, I'm going to explore something larger. I'm going to explore something that resonates a bit more, that's a bit more universal. A lot of people reading this book are going to be incredibly unhappy, but I think it should be said, and I realized I had things to say about Sri Lanka.
What do you think a win like this does for authors of your generation?
Ever since the Gratiaen shortlist happened, there have been so many authors, would-be authors, potential authors of my generation and much younger also, reaching out and going, hey, how do we get an agent? How do we publish a book? What the Gratiaen and the visibility here is doing for this is it's made a lot of people realize, well, I can probably do that too. Like I can maybe, and all of these authors are now online. That's been immensely valuable because it's made me also realize there are a lot of other people with stories to tell.
What's next for you?
I'm writing a story about a giant orange cat. No, really. I'm actually writing two novels. One of them is about a giant orange cat. This is a novel based on a short story that I wrote that is now on the way to the moon. There's a project to archive the works of 30,000 artists on the moon. I have 3 works in there, including an anthology that I edited and a very cyberpunk near future look at policing, but also a story about a giant orange cat. And I really liked the story about the giant orange cat. I had fun. I have a t-shirt that has a giant orange cat on it. So I'm turning it into a novel.
Kaleidoscope is on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Subscribe and follow if you like our show.